Welcome back. So we actually want to be able to send in information into this finder that we are building from the outside. So I want to be able to add these columns from the outside. I don't want to have to start using the service inside my container, because then the file system is not its own self-contained unit right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, when I have the container right here, the TypeScript file for the file system container, I want to add the columns as an input actually, instead of hard coding them inside the actual component like we're doing right now. So I'll add this as an input right here, and now we can actually send the column in from the outside. So let's just start by doing that actually. I'll just grab all the code in the constructor right here. I'll just take all of that, youpsie, and I'll just move it from here and into the place where I'm using this, which is inside the albums list right now. And for now, let's just add it on init. Let's just say we're going to create all of these columns right here, and then let's just have a local column, just like we did in the other setup right here in the container. So I'm just going to have this local column that I'm going to use up here. Again, it's pretty simple stuff. I'm just moving code around because I want to be able to send the columns in from the albums list, so that this column container is still its own component that can get columns from anything. So I can reuse it again later on if I want to in another system. So let's just try and go in here and add the column now inside our component list. So now you'll notice that it actually pops up now with the columns for the container component, and I can now send in the columns I just created inside the columns list TypeScript file right here. And I populated with the exact same values as earlier, so it should actually now show up again just like before. Perfect, that's working. But what if I want to kind of click a folder right here? How would I handle that? Well, the idea in my system is going to be that when I click something, I want it to actually show up a new column. When I click this guy, I want it to show up a new column. Now the data for the column, it's going to get that from Firebase, of course. So when I click this guy, it should send an event to Firebase, get some data back, and present the data right here. So we need some way to kind of figure out when I'm clicking a column, I need to be informed, right? So let's try and jump back to the code. And again, it's pretty much just, we look at the folder details right here. Notice I already have an output when I'm clicking the folder in here in the folder details. So I just need to send that forward that to the next layer, right? So I need to say when I'm clicking the folder, I also want to explain in the system columns right here that a folder was clicked. So I'm going to make an input in here as well called clicked folder, and that guy is just going to emit when I'm clicking the folder. So just look at this. Right here right now I'm not using the click folder in the folder details. So let's just do that. I'm going to go in here and add an event called folder clicked. That was the one, or clicked folder. And I'm just going to call that event emitter I just made right here like this, clicked folder. I'm just going to call that guy and emit the actual folder that was just clicked. And you can do that. Now I'm showing you this because you can do that by actually sending in the event, and that event is actually from this clicked folder right here. So now I'm actually sending the folder just to the next level, right? So it pretty much just means that I can now start just sending events from folders to folders. So this is the lowest level where I have a click folder, meaning that when I click the folder right here, click, it's going to send it into the columns component, like I just showed you right here. So it's going to catch it right here and say, oh, somebody clicked the folder on the details. Let's just send that forward to the next level. So I'm just going to send that as an output right here and send it to the next level. And in my case, since I have a container as well, I'm just going to add a last layer right here as well, because I want this guy to also know that when you're clicking a folder clicked, I also want you to send that event. So it's actually pretty much the exact same thing we're doing, just redirecting the event once more. I haven't really Googled this. There might be a simple way, but this is a way, right? So now I'm just passing the data onwards to the different layers inside my component structure right here. So now this guy should have a clicked folder available that I can start using inside my HTML all the way up here in the albums list. But again, notice the reason I'm doing it like this is because it doesn't have to be inside the albums list. I can now use this component inside anything where I want to kind of have a file system where I can click folders, right? So I'll just write folder clicked like this, and I'll just send in the event right here. Event. Now notice this time I'm actually sending in to another function inside my code, because I actually want to do something specifically later on with this folder clicked. And let's just add it down here, the function folder clicked. Let's just add a small console log in here just to kind of log that I actually clicked the folder, clicked folder, and let's actually even add the folder right here, so you can see that it actually sent the folder all the way through the system right here. Folder, there we go. So let's just see if this works. So right here I click the winter. Notice it actually sent the winter now first from the details, the folder details, into the folder column, into the folder container, and then all the way into the albums list out here. So it kind of sent it through a lot of layers to get this up and running. But that's it. Now we kind of have a way of communicating from the lowest components all the way up to the outer components that needs to use them. That's it for this lesson. See you next time. Have fun.